Last but not least is problem number 7, and this problem is very similar to problem number 6. Right off the bat, they tell me a given. They tell me that I've got parallel sides, so I'm going to react, and I'm going to record that. I'm going to write that down. That side ED is parallel to side QR. And once you have that, how did I know that given? Once they tell you things are parallel, you should be thinking about alternate interior angles and corresponding angles, or any of the angle relationships that come from parallel lines. And where that's going to be useful in our proof is you've got parallel lines cut by a transversal, so I know this angle here must be congruent to this angle here. These angles are corresponding angles. That's why earlier in the year I harped on knowing what the names are and their relationship, because when we write proofs, not only do you need to recognize that, yeah, these things are congruent, but you need to attach a name to them, because when you go to explain that in a proof, when you go to tell somebody you know that, when you know this first fact, that lines are parallel, you're allowed to say another fact, namely that this angle E is congruent to this angle Q. Let's do the 3-letter names just so we don't get confused. Maybe they think we're talking about this angle down here. So this angle SED, right, this angle here, must be congruent to this angle SQR. Well, I'm allowed to say that because I know when I got parallel lines cut by that blue transversal, those angles are corresponding angles. And when lines are parallel, I know corresponding angles have to be congruent. That's why it's super clutch to list that parallel fact first. Because you tell me lines are parallel, I can tell you corresponding angles are congruent. And that's my first angle fact. My third angle fact is my favorite angle fact, namely that this angle up here, angle S in this blue triangle, I know that that angle is going to be congruent to itself, angle S, in this larger green triangle, because that angle is shared. That angle overlaps, is flexible enough to be in 2 different triangles. So I can use that, I can double dip. I can use angle S from the green as an angle for my similarity statement, angle S in the blue triangle. And what lets me say that is the reflexive property. And that's my second angle fact. So 4, I'm ready to prove what they asked. I'm ready to say, well, triangle ESD is similar to triangle QSR. And how did I say that? Well, that's the angle-angle postulate, or you can just say angle-angle. So that concludes Elias Academy, day 46. And I just kind of want to end on a note that you might be asking yourself. You might be trying to put order to all of these proofs and think in terms of, okay, well, when I see this picture, whether it be the picture from number 7 or whatever, you might be trying to say, okay, well, how many steps must that be? And I want to correct that line of thought. That's not how we should be thinking about this, because they can disguise the problem with parallel lines or giving you congruent angles or overlapping stuff. They can confuse it. They can change up the problems by giving you different pieces of information that will cause you to require 4 steps versus 3 steps, even though it's the same postulate, right? Angle, angle. Even though, we're using similar things. So don't think of this as when I see a picture, it's always this amount of steps. That's not going to be true. Um, what you can think about is, well, when I see overlapping triangles, I should be looking for that reflexive angle at the, you know, the angle that's used by both triangles. That's something you should be thinking about. When you see that hourglass shape, you should be thinking, oh, I have access to vertical angles. That's something you should be thinking about. When they tell me lines are parallel, when they give me that, you should be thinking about alternate interior angles. You should be thinking about corresponding angles. That's something you should be thinking about. That's how you should be training your mind to approach these proofs. Um, Thinking about your limited toolbox of side, side, side similarity, side, angle, side similarity, and now we have access to angle, angle similarity, and thinking about how you can leverage the diagram, the given information, to use one of these tools to accomplish the proof. So thank you for your attention, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.